It's actually happening, guys. We are actually going to have the spaghetti scene with actual dogs doing it. Well, not actual dogs, like CGI dogs that look like actual dogs, but it's live action. Whatever, you get what I mean. Hi everybody, Carla here, and today I want to do a really quick video, but I want to talk about the new Disney streaming service. I've talked about this before. You guys know I'm not a fan. I don't want another streaming service, especially not Disney. I don't want every single media company out there having their own streaming service. I don't think it's a sustainable model. I probably won't subscribe to the Disney service, but there are news about it. Some really cool stuff is coming out exclusively for the Disney streaming service. We now have confirmation of that. So I thought I would just talk a little bit about it, about each property and what I think about it, what it's going to be like. Is it going to thrive in the Disney streaming service? And is it going to help the Disney streaming service at all, really? Regardless of my feelings for it. So I want to talk about it a little bit. So in the last few weeks we've gotten news that Disney is sort of starting up their lineup for this streaming service that is going to, of course, debut in 2019. I believe they haven't given us a date yet, but they have said fall 2019. So there's still a ways to go, a year to go before this thing is actually final, but we're starting to get news about what's going to be in it and what's not going to be in it. And of course, Disney's going to have their whole catalog in there. We know this already. They're pulling stuff from other streaming services such as Netflix. So basically, they're gonna have all their old stuff in there, probably a bunch of ABC properties, probably some Fox if the sale of Fox actually goes through. We don't know much about what's going on there yet. But they're gonna have a bunch of old stuff. However, when it comes to streaming services, much like Netflix, you can't really depend on old properties, I guess. You need to have some content of your own, which is why Netflix and Amazon and Hulu are investing so much freaking money on new content, especially Netflix. That I think this year they said they would up the original production budget to something like between 8 and 10 billion dollars, like with a B. That's a lot of fucking money, I'm just saying. But they know that people are flocking to Netflix because of the original programming, because it's stuff that you can't find anywhere else. Say a Stranger Things, for example, which is mainly the reason why they have my money. If they didn't have Stranger Things, I probably would never have subscribed to Netflix. But they also have other stuff. The thing about Netflix is that, for me at least, and this is why I like them, there's always something in there, something new. Like every month there's something new that I can just go in and check out. You don't only have Stranger Things, you have The Crown, you have Orange is the New Black, you have a bunch of new movies, Bill Nye Saves the World, Voltron, the How to Train Your Dragon cartoon, all of that stuff I love. And new shows that I have yet to watch, 13 Reasons Why. There's a new one that I really want to watch that is titled Everything Sucks, that is about the 90s. They have a ton of new content and they keep investing in new content. I know Sense8, for example, is very popular. I see it on my Twitter feed all the time. So they keep investing in that kind of new content, and that's what keeps people coming back. So if Disney wants to have their own streaming service, they're probably gonna have to do something like that too. So the streaming service cannot just be old stuff, they have to come up with new stuff that will only be in that streaming service to get people to actually subscribe and stay subscribed, I guess. So they have announced a few properties that they're gonna have. We know sort of more or less that they're going to create some type of Marvel show for sure. I believe the ones that are on Netflix are going to stay on Netflix, but they definitely have to create their own Marvel show. We don't yet know what it's going to be. They also announced very recently that director and producer-director Jon Favreau is going to be executive producing and running the show. Basically, he's going to be the executive producer of a brand new Star Wars TV show, which I kind of expected. Like, even in my reluctance to care about this Disney project, I had already factored in that they were going to be doing something Star Wars. I knew it, so it wasn't a surprise to me. Lucasfilm has this issue where they can be a little bit tone deaf with their announcements of stuff and with their choices that they're making recently. I know when they announced Favreau for the TV show, they actually did it on International Women's Day, which was kind of a bad thing to do because people have been complaining for so long that Lucasfilm is not giving opportunities to female directors in Star Wars or female writers in Star Wars. Announcing that straight white dude is going to be the executive producer of the arguably biggest property that they have on their streaming service, and to do it on International Women's Day, I was sort of cringing. Lucasfilm has to sort that out, okay? They have to, and I understand that with Favreau, because he's just executive producer, it doesn't mean he's going to be directing every episode, it doesn't mean he's going to be writing every episode. So there's the possibility in there to add some diversity to the lineup with female directors or people of color directors. Same for the writers, etc. I'm not upset with Favreau as a choice. I think Favreau is a great producer, a great writer, a great director as well. He kind of set the MCU on track with Iron Man. He was basically who started the MCU. He's doing The Lion King, which is so exciting to me, and there's a precedent there that most of the Lion King cast is actually people of color, right? So I'm not upset about Favreau as a choice. I do think it's a very valid point to bring up that Lucasfilm just has not hired any female or people of color directors or writers up until this moment, and that is something they really need to do, because before Favreau it was Benioff and Weiss, and before Benioff and Weiss it was Rian Johnson, and they're giving opportunities to straight white dudes all the time, and we have not yet seen any diversity from them. So I think it's a valid point to bring up. At the same time, I have nothing against Favreau. I'm actually really happy that Favreau is going to be executive producing this series. I think he's a great artist, and I want this series to be as good as possible. So I'm okay in that sense. I do hope that Lucasfilm will eventually get it through their heads that they need to start paying attention to this kind of stuff, because people will get freaking sick of it by some point. So that said, I'm very happy that Favreau is going to be doing this. I think that like I said, he's a great artist. I think he loves Star Wars, and I think Star Wars has the opportunity to thrive as a TV show, depending on what the theme of it is, what the time setting is, who the characters are. There's a lot of space for diversity in there. There's a lot of space for them to do stuff that we have not yet seen Lucasfilm do with Star Wars. There's a lot of places they can go. So I'm excited about this show. At the moment, I don't know what it's about. I'm looking forward to it, but I had already thought about this. I don't think until I see a trailer, at least, until I see them where they're going, what the tone is, and I can gauge a little what the show is going to be like, I'm not going to get into a hype. It's about 50-50 chance that I get hyped about this or not. I'm definitely gonna watch it at some point. I just don't see it yet as an incentive for me to subscribe to this Disney streaming thing. Or at least I would do what I do with HBO, which is just Game of Thrones comes out, the whole season just premieres, and then after that's done, maybe a couple of months after because I'm slow, then I subscribe to HBO for 1 month and I just binge through the whole thing. That makes it easier for me. I don't care about spoilers, so I don't mind. I don't mind waiting until after everybody's seen it to actually watch it. So in that sense, just them announcing a Star Wars TV show, even with Favreau in the helm, even though I love Favreau, it's not enough incentive for me to be like, oh my god, I have to subscribe to the Disney streaming service. By the way, can I just say that this thing is going to be very depending on the name? Because if they name it like Disney streaming, I'm just gonna be like, seriously? Disney Flix, please don't do that. But as of now, as of that announcement, I'm still not like really hyped for this Disney streaming service, even though I do think I will watch the show eventually, but it might just be a one-off thing. I don't need to be subscribed to this thing forever in order to watch this show. So that's what it felt like for me. After that, they announced a bunch more TV shows. There's this thing called Stargirl, which I still don't know what it is. They're also redoing 3 Men and a Baby, which, yeah, it takes me back to my childhood, but again, I watched that show. It's not one of those shows that like is super nostalgic to me, so doesn't really do anything, and I wouldn't really subscribe to a streaming service for sitcoms either, so none of those do anything for me. They did announce, however, that they are going to be remaking their animated classic The Sword in the Stone, which for me is a really big deal because The Sword in the Stone is one of my favorite Disney movies. I'm also a big fan of the Arthurian mythos, and I know the Disney version is not necessarily the actual Arthurian version. They took tons of liberties with it, as Disney is wont to do. I was excited when I heard this. I do think The Sword in the Stone is ripe for a remake. I think lately most of the King Arthur stories that we have seen recently have been disappointing. And as a fan of the Arthurian mythos, I'm looking forward to seeing one that is actually entertaining, and actually cool to watch. It's one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. I think it's severely underrated, and it's definitely one that is somewhat easier to remake in a live action format. So since Disney's already doing these live action remakes, why not do one of them for the show? And of course, Arthur would involve some CGI, but it shouldn't be as budget heavy as, say, something like The Jungle Book, which they had to create an entire jungle out of computer generated graphics. So I think it's a good idea. Again, I might watch it. I'm not going to subscribe to the Disney streaming service just to watch The Sword in the Stone, especially since, I think Disney is a money-making machine. They want to get their cash from like everything, so they might as well release it on DVD at some point. And I don't think I need to subscribe to their streaming service for that. The latest bit of news that we got, though, was just a couple of days ago. They announced that they're going to be remaking The Lady and the Tramp movie. They're going to do a live-action remake of it, and it's going to be exclusive to the Disney streaming service. This gave me pause. I think for the first time since the streaming service started, this is the news that gave me the most pause, because I adore Lady and the Tramp. I love, I used to have the VHS tape, and you know how kids these days, like little kids, they keep rewatching like Frozen over and over and over again until their parents are sick of the songs and they just want to like throw out the tape. That was me with Lady and the Tramp, basically. I mean, let's say before The Lion King was a thing, before The Little Mermaid was a thing. So like in the 80s, when I was just a little girl, maybe like 3 or 4 years old, Lady and the Tramp was a movie that I used to watch over and over and over until it drove my mother crazy. That was the movie, okay? I knew all the songs, I loved the characters. That Lady and the Tramp is the reason why I wanted a dog when I was a kid. I wanted a puppy, and I wanted it to be like Tramp. And I love that movie. So this one made me think, well, maybe, perhaps, I could subscribe just to watch this movie. But you know what it is about these live action stories, especially Lady and the Tramp, since it's so animal heavy, you imagine it's going to be something like The Jungle Book, right? But it scares me as to the quality of the movie, because yeah, they put it in the big screen like the Jungle Book, like Beauty and the Beast, like they're planning to do with Aladdin and the Lion King, because they want to make a lot of money, because those movies are freaking expensive, right? So I keep thinking of the Jungle Book, because the Jungle Book is like ridiculously expensive. They like I said, they created a jungle. They created these animals. There was nothing real in the Jungle Book except the little boy. Everything else was fake. And the Lady and the Tramp remake would have to be something like that, because there's not enough people in it. So it's not like you can have more than a few human beings in there that don't need to be CGI'd in there, right? So you would assume that it's going to be something like the Jungle Book, but I don't think that Disney is going to sink over $100 million on a movie that's only going to be in their streaming service. I don't think so. I'm afraid for the quality of this movie. I have no doubt that it's going to be good. I don't want the CGI to take me out of the movie. And CGI that is as good as the Jungle Book CGI is really expensive, and I don't think Disney's going to go that far with their budget for something that's only on a streaming platform, rather than at the movie theater where they can actually make like a bajillion bucks on one weekend. So I worry about the quality of these movies. I would be okay with something like, say, Paddington, or I've heard Peter Rabbit mentioned. I never saw Peter Rabbit. I actually never saw Paddington too, but I saw the trailers. I didn't bother with the Peter Rabbit trailers. But if they can do something like that, I guess it would be okay. But if you're gonna tell me it's live action, I want to see the animals like actual animals. So I would want something Jungle Book quality, and I know I'm not gonna get it. So, I will watch it, but again, do I have to subscribe to this streaming service for one movie? It will hit DVD and Blu-ray eventually. I'm sure of it. Disney wants to make as much money with these things as they possibly can. So again, as much as this gave me pause, the Lady and the Tramp news, because I love that movie so much, I'm still not entirely convinced that I need to subscribe to this streaming service for really any of these news yet. So, I know I'm probably in the minority when it comes to this. I know people see these things and they're like, oh, Disney's going to make tons of money, they're going to be jumping in money, you know what I mean? Like, I know it's going to do well. I know people are going to subscribe. Disney is a huge market. They have an enormous catalog of stuff that people really like to watch and rewatch over again, especially people with kids who have to keep them entertained for 2 hours while they go and do laundry or whatever. Like, I know that this streaming service is going to be a massive hit. You don't bet against Disney. I don't think Disney is going to win no matter what. I don't think it's going to take down Netflix. I don't think it's going to take down Amazon Prime. I don't think it's even going to take down Hulu. But for me personally, I still have not seen a reason why I absolutely positively need to subscribe to this thing on a permanent basis like I do with Netflix, for example. I know that Netflix will always give me content that I can look forward to and I can watch and I can binge through. My to-watch list is bigger than Texas, and I don't know that I'll ever be done with it, and like 3/4 of it are just Netflix stuff that I still have to watch, that I really want to watch and I haven't had time to, but I'm getting there little by little. I don't know if a Disney streaming service will have that, and that's basically the only reason why I subscribe to Netflix, because I feel like they give me so much. They entertain me so much. Like, the value of them, like paying $15 a month is not too much to ask, given what they give me in return for that. So that's how I measure my streaming services, and I don't know yet that Disney will have that. I love Disney. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I grew up with their movies in the Renaissance. The Lion King is my favorite movie of all time. I adore Disney. I don't rewatch Disney movies as often as you think. And those I do rewatch, I own a DVD already, or Blu-ray. So I don't feel the need to subscribe to Disney streaming service for their catalog. And certainly these new properties that they've announced aren't really doing it for me either. So I don't know, if I change my mind, and of course, you know, I'm a human being, I have the right to change my mind if I have to. So far I haven't, but if I do change my mind, I will come back and make a note of it here. But so far none of these properties have really done it for me. Even Star Wars. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. I'm so glad that Favreau's doing this. I can watch this thing in 1 month and be done with it. Which is about the same thing you would pay for a Blu-ray, isn't it? Right? So like, what's the point in me subscribing to a Disney streaming service for that? So I'm happy with what they're doing. I think they're going to be very successful. I don't think they're gonna take down Netflix or anything, and I don't want them to, because competition is a good thing. But so far I don't really feel the need to subscribe to a Disney service. Maybe in the future they'll announce other stuff that will like actually hype me up, but so far it hasn't happened. And you know, if Lady and the Tramp didn't do it, I can't imagine what else would. You know, if The Sword in the Stone and Lady and the Tramp aren't enough for me to actually be like, oh my god, I have to subscribe. It's tough, because the other stuff that would make me subscribe is the stuff that they're actually doing for theaters, right? Like The Lion King and Aladdin and Mulan. Those are the stories that I want to see. Those are going to be in theaters, so there's no point in me subscribing to this thing. I don't know, that's just me though. I know that a lot of people out there are really, really hyped for this Disney streaming service. If you're one of them, let me know. Comment and tell me if you're going to be subscribing, or if you haven't decided yet, what is going to change your mind? Will it be the price, or will it be some property that you're hoping to see in this Disney streaming service? Go in and comment and let me know. And also, while you're down there, if you have any topics that you'd like me to talk about in the future, anything geeky, be it movies, TV, books, any sort of thing like that, if it's anything I have any knowledge about, I will make sure to add it to my list of videos to make in the future, so be sure to drop it in the comments so that I know. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you like my stuff, please subscribe to my channel. I'm always happy to see people watching and sharing and commenting and subscribing and liking. It's just so great to see you guys supporting me like this, and I hope that you're liking this video, so please go ahead and do that. In the meantime, you can find me on social media. I am on Twitter and Instagram at girlsareweird with underscores between the words, and I am on Tumblr at girlsareweird with hyphens between the words. You can find a Facebook page for this vlog at facebook.com/FreakingNarnia, and as usual, be sure to visit my main website at FreakingNarnia.com. All my videos are up there in case you need to catch up on anything, you missed something, it's all in there. Go and check it out. If you need proofreading, I offer my services at FreakingNarnia.com/proofing. So I would be glad to help you make your written project as good as it can be. So be sure to check that out. All my details are there, and how you can contact me, and my rates and everything. So go to FreakingNarnia.com/proofing and check it out. And remember, I do have a Redbubble store where I make art based on my favorite quotes from my favorite fandoms, and then you can use that art to print on stuff like computer covers and cups and bags and stuff like that. It's really cool, so be sure to check that out and maybe purchase something if you're in the mood. It really does help me a lot. And yeah, I think that's about it for me today. I will see you guys next Friday with another video from all the way in freaking Narnia. He said Tramp, but I love him.